Good morning, and welcome to this service of worship at Trinity United Church here in Peterborough. My name is Jane Darling. Our minister, Joanna McQuarrie, is at home. As you may have learned this week, Joanna is recovering from COVID and is very conscious of keeping all of us safe. So she has decided to stay away, although she very much wishes to be here to hear our guests and also to be part of the important meeting which follows immediately after the service. The service is also being recorded and will be available to be shared as of Monday. Coffee time will follow the meeting. Now, let's turn our thoughts to the lighting of the Christ candle. Each new day reminds us of the light that dwells within us, the light God has placed deep within our hearts. We light the Christ candle, remembering that we are made of light and love, remembering that we are called to bring light and love to others and to the world. Thanks be.
Good morning. I'm Carla Buckborough and the worship leader for today. There are many announcements listed on the insert in your bulletin. I'm only going to mention a couple. One, Jane already alluded to, the very important meeting today, information meeting today, right after the service to talk about the future of the Trinity property. This will be followed next week on April 3rd with a congregational meeting to vote on what is talked about today. I also want to bring your attention to the organ recital that is happening here today at 3 p.m. Douglas Shaleen will be the featured organist. Joanna is canceling the talking circle on March 30th. The next will meet on Thursday, April 7th at 11 a.m. Contact Joanna if you want more information or to let her know that you are coming for that. And the last one, on the back page it says, put your thinking caps on. We're looking for ideas, addresses of people who are no longer attending Trinity, but we think would like to come for the reunion service and reunion weekend. And if you can let Mary Snack know mailing addresses or email addresses so that people can be contacted. And now we will have Chris with an announcement.
Guess what I'm advertising? It is not Shrove Tuesday, it is April the 6th, a pancake supper, and because of sort of restrictions, we are taking reservations, limiting it to 60 people. So you can either call me or tell me or call the church office to make your reservations. Hope to see you there.
And now Ann Campbell will share some memories of Trinity.
Good morning, everybody. Colin and I came to Peterborough and Trinity Church in 1972 with 3 very young children. I joined the choir and the children enjoyed very active church school. After the services, I vividly remember the kids' laughter and tearing across the stage in Morrow Hall. Colin and I became very quickly an instant family with Trinity and friends here. Special services needed extra chairs all down each side and along the front here. And on Christmas Eve at 7 o'clock, we had 2 services on Christmas Eve, and the 7 o'clock one, we often had a live baby there, and our granddaughter was one of the babies one year. Diana led the choir in oratorios, enhanced by our amazing soloists at the time. 1976 was the organ crisis, and that was when the congregation all came together, and by 1977 we had a new organ installed, and we've enjoyed it ever since. Trinity has always been known for music and food, and Bev Lane prepared the meals way back then, and she always made a special cake for any event. Then Chef Gunther, he did 2 of the dinner theater dinners, and at that time he taught me well on how to look after the kitchen. In 1989, the choir plus some of the congregation embarked on a trip to Britain. We sang in 9 cathedrals and visited Richard, who was in Formby at the time doing an exchange, and long-term friendships were made at that time. One more time over the brine in 1999, we did 3 concerts and had more fun and games in Britain. 1991, the Memorial Garden was created by the Clark family. And then following that, there was a dedicated group who created more gardens. And now we have lots of beautiful gardens around, and Doug and Sheila Watt led that group. About that time, the handicap access with the lift was installed. And in 1998, kitchens were renovated, and hallelujah, we got a dishwasher. I will list some of the events over the years because there's so many. Doors Open Trinity with the community invited, Munch to Music, church picnics, celebrating Trinity with the Golden Tones, you may remember them. Afternoon silent auctions with dinner later on, then soup luncheon contests, travelogues, car rallies, and the 125th anniversary was a weekend homecoming reunion, just like the one we're hoping to have soon. And past members and young people came back home, and we had lots of fun and reconnected with them. We had 2 Kayleys over the years with fiddlers and food and piping, bagpiping, of course, with Colin, and Highland and Scottish country dancing, and we all learned to do some of the Scottish country dances. And the junior choir did sing-alongs and more. Theatre musical comedy performances by the choir and church members, and some imports such as Gillian Wilson and Bob Ainsworth, who wrote 2 of the scripts. Parson's Predicament, Nonsense 1 and 2, the choir of Misfits, Meshuggah Nuns, O Coward, Begin Again, Carry on the Brits, and Trial by Jury, all with Diana at the helm. Many people behind the scenes making scenery, costumes, and many, many hours of rehearsal. Mary Lavery and Jean Sanders ran the dining room, and Margaret and I did the dinners. And Saturday mornings in the kitchen was very noisy. We had lots of fun and laughter and lots of excitement. And every time that we would ask for volunteers for anything over the years, the response was overwhelming. Thanks, Trinity. And there'll be more to come before we close the doors. Lots more to come, so look forward to the announcements. Thank you.
And now Gary Lister is going to come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. We have with us today a representative from 2 of the many outreach ministries that Trinity has supported over the years. Erin Cavanaugh, who has been a dedicated and caring teacher for the Kawartha Pine Ridge School Board at the School for Young Mums since 2013. And Ann Morowitz, who is the devoted president of Friends of Honduran Children here in Peterborough and has been on several mission expeditions to Honduras. Later in the service, Aaron and Ann will tell us a little bit about the ongoing work that the two organizations are doing, their impact, and the challenges they face.
Please join me in our call to worship. God is not contained by this place or bounded by this hour. Praise to the God of everywhere and always. Yet God is present in this place and active in this hour. Praise to the God of here and now. Our good and gracious Creator calls us to worship, and we have chosen to come together, gladly and openly acknowledging a common need. We affirm our need for the Holy One, our enabler of hope, advocate of peace, provider of unlimited love, and source of sustaining faith. Our opening hymn this morning is also our prayer of approach. Please join in "O Jesus, I Have Promised," Voices United, page 120. Our psalm this morning is a paraphrase by James Taylor, Psalm 27, verses 1 and 4 to 9, My Only Hope. Please join me in this. All I ever wanted was peace and harmony. I would love to live serenely in God's presence. Instead of protecting me from the tragedies of life, God gives me ways to cope with them. When wild-eyed beasts glare at me out of the gloom, God gives me fire. Its flames keep my fears at bay. When rival demands clash like bloodied boxers, God sends a breeze to blow away the swirling dust of strife. When I can see clearly again, I know I don't want to fight anymore. I would rather praise the one who saves me. Don't stop now, Lord. When fearsome monsters lurk under the surface of my mind, come to my rescue. Turn to me, you say, do my way. From the bottom of my heart, God, I have turned to you. Don't turn away from me. You are my only hope. The gospel reading today is from Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, the Golden Rule. It's only one verse and very short. I'm going to read it from the New Standard Revised Version, and Jane will read it a little bit later in the service from another translation. The Golden Rule. In everything, do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets.
With the help of modern technology, I have here some words from Joanna. Joanna titles these words, God with Skin On, and I think it's a wonderful title. On the third floor of the United Nations headquarters in New York, there is a large image of Murano glass tile depicting people of all ages from many races and cultures gathered together, the words, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, are inscribed on the surface. This is a mosaic adaptation of a prize-winning painting by Norman Rockwell called The Golden Rule, and has long been a favorite of visitors as it symbolizes both the multiculturalism and the idealism at the core of the UN's mission. In 2004, the UN also received the Golden Rule poster from the North American Interfaith Network, depicting the ways in which 13 religious and spiritual traditions state this ancient law of reciprocity in many distinctive forms. Thus, we're vividly reminded that people live out the ancient ethical instruction to humankind in many different ways. Some people work in helping professions, others produce goods or food, or offer opportunities for education, recreation, or artistic appreciation. And each of us impacts others through family, colleagues, and friendships. For 149 and a half years, the people of Trinity have carried their faith home and out into the community. At work and play in thousands of ways, they've shared the caring love of God with others. During the season of Lent, we're called to repent, which means to turn intentionally towards the way of Christ in our relationship with God and with one another. Reflection and prayer help to direct us towards specific ways in which we may follow Jesus out into the streets to meet needs with care. Many times this is done through individual attitudes and actions, like engaging in anti-racism, affirming all people, or working to end food insecurity. Sometimes we extend our individual caring by donating dollars to assist in a host of activities, which contribute to the care of people in need and of our planet home. In churches, we call the activities which we help to support outreach ministries, as Gary mentioned. One of my friends in Alberta, says Joanna, used to talk about human efforts to help as God with skin on. Over the years, there have been and continue to be so many important organizations which work to make Peterborough a place of safety, nurture, and love for all people. Barb Deisman has prepared a display of some of the ones which Trinity has helped in recent years. Today, we're blessed to have Erin Cavanaugh and Ann Morowitz to tell us more about two of them. As we hear their words and stories, may we remember specific ministries close to our own hearts, as well as all the ways in which compassion and assistance have been offered to us over the years by people seeking to follow that instruction to do for others what you want people to do for you. I'd like to welcome Erin Cavanaugh.
Hi there, and thank you so much for having me today. Noreen and Gary, you guys have been the driving force, I believe, for our relationship between the School for Young Mums and Trinity, so we are very thankful for you guys and what you've done. Like mentioned, I'm Erin Cavanaugh. I'm the teacher at School for Young Mums. Who are we? We are a high school program and a parenting program run by Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board and the Peterborough Child and Family Centers. We're located downtown at PCVS, and we have a secured space in the basement of the school where our classroom is located directly beside the child care room. We welcome high school students who are pregnant or students who have an infant ages 6 weeks to 18 months. As a bonus, we offer ongoing registration throughout the school year, so students can come and register as needed. One of our goals at the School for Young Mums is to continue to support students in their learning while allowing them to build a strong, healthy relationship with their child. The school piece is just one side of it. Basically, me as the classroom teacher, I meet the students where they're at in their learning, and I move them one step closer to graduation or graduation. And the other piece is the social side and the parenting side. And we offer parenting programs and workshops. We have connections to community supports, such as breastfeeding supports, Peterborough Youth Services, public health. And prior to COVID, we took our students on regular excursions to the YMCA, where we take the moms and infants swimming. We pride ourselves on being a safe, inclusive space. We provide transportation to our students to get to and from school, and give them a healthy breakfast and lunch every day. We are thankful for volunteers who come in to cook the lunch, and we are always accepting applications for future volunteers. So why am I here? Well, during this time of giving, I'm here to thank the Trinity community for your continued support of the School for Young Mums and our students. In brief, you have been extremely supportive of our program in the past and continue to this day. I've only been with Young Mums since 2013, but I know that Trinity stepped up big time to the plate and provided a program space for the Young Mums from 2006 to 2012. You provided financial assistance whenever possible and provided much needed moral support and a safe space for our students and their children to learn and grow. For the past 9 years, most of my time as part of this amazing program, the Trinity ladies produce beautiful multicolored quilts, works of art, both handmade and machine-made quilts for the infants and their moms who attended the school. This was usually timed around Mother's Day, and we'd always do a beautiful showcase of the quilts and invite some of the quilters to join us for a small social tea. Quilt Day, it was magical. It's kind of been put on hold a little bit during COVID times, but it was a very magical time for our students. There was always lots of excitement about selecting the quilt that they wanted to take, And I do know that the students over the years have been very thankful for that. The quilts became a keepsake and a memory of their time at the School for Young Moms. During the Christmas season, for the past 12 years, Trinity congregation has generously donated to the Families Share program. The moms and infants receive beautiful gift bags full of lovely new clothing, toys, beauty products, warm scarves, toques, mitts, and so on and so on. As you know, the cost of living and cost of parenting continue to climb with the times, and your gracious contributions have always been well received and appreciated. They have helped make the holiday season a bit brighter. And I know for a fact these hardworking parents who parallel as students deserve a break. Since our move to PCBS from Trinity, you also continue to financially support our breastfeeding programs and provided funding for our monthly swim excursions to the YMCA. For all of this, we are thankful. So how do I know that your contributions have made a difference? I may be biased, but I truly believe the School for Young Moms is the best place to teach in Peterborough. The success of our program is 100% attributed to the environment we have created, which is driven by strong partnerships and supports we receive from community groups such as yourselves. At the School for Young Moms, we become a we family. We build unbelievable connections, we experience raw human emotion, and celebrate successes of our students and their infants and toddlers. Our environment is a place of hope, promise, and a future. The students who attend work hard, and they build beautiful relationships with their babies. Recently, we did a bit of a data story on our program, and since my time at the Young Mums, we've had about 100 graduate from the Young Mums program. Obviously, this is a very huge accomplishment. And for those that are still working towards graduation, the School for Young Moms gave them a place of unconditional support and guidance during a very pivotal time in their lives. So with that, I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for your contributions to the School for Young Moms over the years. They have been truly appreciated. Please know that you have been a small part in changing lives. Thank you.
Thank you for your words, Erin. Erin has to go to a previously booked engagement later this morning, and so she'll be leaving us shortly. It was very interesting hearing about a program that even I, as a longtime member of Trinity, wasn't aware of all the components of it. So thank you for your time today with us.
Thank you.
Again, the reading from Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, this time from the Message translation. Here is a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself what you would want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for them. Add up God's law and prophets, and this is what you get. Here ends the reading. And I welcome back Ann Morowitz, please.
I was reviewing my speech this morning and I started to cry. So I'm going to really try to retain my composure during the next 8 minutes, my allotment of time. What a pleasure to be here this morning and to tell you a little bit about a local charity that's actually very familiar to many of you, Friends of Honduran Children. We have an office in the basement of Westmount Pharmacy and 1.5 employees. Since Friends was created in the 1970s by a dentist, Jim McCallum, Friends has been a constant support in Honduras, working with Honduran partners. Jim, the dentist, met a woman named Sister Maria Rosa, who was a Catholic nun and an orphan herself. And as a young girl, after the death of both of her parents, she actually ran away from her guardians and joined a convent. She saw some nuns on the street wearing their habit, and she was about 8 years old, and entranced by that notion, she followed them, and they actually accepted her and took her in. After several years of living in a convent in the US, where she learned English and also trained to be a nurse, she decided that she was going to return to Honduras with a vision to help orphaned kids just like herself. And it turns out she was amazingly successful at convincing everyone around her to help, including Jim McCallum. And Jim McCallum and his wife Anne still sit on our board today and offer us perspective and wisdom and support. So in 2012, my husband Don and I decided to join a building brigade that was going from Peterborough with Grace United Church. And after meeting the children and the staff at Nuevo Paraíso, where the children's village is located, we were smitten. Ever since we've been involved, and for the last several years, we've actually been on the board. Trinity members have been incredibly faithful and loyal supporters of Friends. You have sponsored individual children, and one of them, Danya, who you've sponsored for many years, graduated from university with a degree in phys ed and is now doing an internship and doing really, really well. And another lad you are sponsoring right now, Jose, is in a high school, and he's still living at Nuevo Paraíso and hopefully will go to university too. Some of you have gone on brigade to Honduras, or you've raised money for our various campaigns, which have included money for school supplies and food and clothing and other necessities. And we are so thankful for your support. I just spoke to Chris Freeman before the service started today, and she informed me with great satisfaction that she's raised $1,085 with her marmalade, and those funds are going to go to Friends of Honduran Children. And the pancake suppers are legendary for supporting the children at Nuevo. Bev Lane's Easter eggs, I could go on and on at the various fundraising campaigns that you've done for us. During the pandemic, many charities struggled to stay afloat. Our donor community rallied and answered every request we made for funds to carry on our projects. In the spring of 2020, as the pandemic was just starting to surge, Churi, who's a Honduran man who we employ in Honduras, was sending us photos of people on the streets of Honduras. And they were holding up posters. And basically they were begging for food. And on the posters it said, it doesn't matter what the quality of the food is, it doesn't matter how much food you've got, please help us. We have no work and no way of feeding our families. So we sent out an urgent appeal to our community and raised almost $20,000. And we sent it down to Churi, and he and a whole bunch of volunteers went to the stores and bought big 100-pound, 100-kilogram bags of rice and beans and corn flour and oil and salt and other staples, and then they packaged them all up. And then he doesn't have a car, he rented a truck, and he drove up and down the streets, and everywhere he saw people who were looking desperate, he literally stopped the truck, gave them a bag of food, and he said, "This money is from Canada." I know that it is just a drop in the bucket, but it was amazing to hear his responses of how the people were so grateful. Even though the food was only going to last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, the amount of food that they got, at least it was an attempt to help. Grace United Church here in Peterborough has been incredibly supportive of Friends for a long, long time. Every year, like the one we went on in 2012, they send what's called a building brigade, and they raise enough money to build a school. They hire an architect, and the architect hires laborers, and people go and basically help for a week, but a school is created. And every year they have to go farther and farther into the rural, remote wilderness of Honduras to build a school, because all the schools close to Nuevo Paris, so all the communities now have schools thanks to Grace. So sometimes the builders would go 2 hours every day to go into these communities to build. And you know, it's interesting how they chose these schools in the rural communities. There had to already be a school, meaning that some person, usually a mom, in the community would open her house and have the kids come in and try to teach them something. So the communities all desperately wanted a school. So Grace would go in and build a school, and then they would support the school ongoing with money for teacher supplies and for school supplies for the kids. And last year, we haven't been able to go back to Honduras since 2019, but last December, when no one could go, we had enough money that we were able to send Churi money, and he contacted all the teachers of the schools and said, "What do you need?" And they told him, and he got everything they needed, all the curriculum supplies and the school supplies for the kids. And not only that, he took bags of food to all these 15 rural schools. It took him a month to do it, but he was able to support them. And so hopefully we'll be able to go and do that in person next year. Education in Honduras is one of our biggest priorities, and especially education of girls and young women. And there's a school in Tegucigalpa called Reyes Arene that was created by Sister and her supporters just for the most destitute girls. These are girls off the street. These are girls in domestic situation, in poverty and abuse. And they come to school 1 day a week when they have their day off, or more if they can. And they get a high school credits like the School for Young Mums, but they also learn their rights. They learn self-esteem. They learn that they're important individuals who should have hope for the future. And they teach the girls how to live in the world and try to be safe. And now sometimes employers in Tegucigalpa come to the school and recruit high school graduates for jobs. So it's an incredible success. The other thing we do is we have an ESL program, an English as a Second Language program, and we, here in Peterborough, pay for a teacher who comes every Saturday morning to the Children's Village. He teaches 4 classes from 9 to 1, starts with the little kids and ends with the teens, and he teaches them English. And the kids, most of them are really keen to learn, because when we go down, and the American brigades and brigades from all over, the kids try out their English on us, and we try out our very bad Spanish on them. So I'm just going to leave you with one story that explains why we are so impacted by our connections with Honduras. So the children at Nuevo Paraíso never leave the village unless there's a group of outsiders who are willing to take them out. So we always, when we go, we rent a bus and we take the teenage girls to a village not too far away called Valley of the Angels. And it's a bit of a tourist village. We give the girls $20 US and we say, you can go shopping, which is for girls here in Peterborough, a regular weekly event, but for them, they never get to go shopping. So they take their $20 and they go from store to store to see what they can buy. And you know what? Most of the time they buy gifts for their friends, for their parents if they have them, if they see them, and for their tias, the house mothers who take care of them. So one time when we were going, we were divided up. So we each have a group of 5 or 6 girls, all the Canadians. And so we had a group of 5 girls, and we'd taken them out for lunch in the village. And Dawn and I said, we're going to pay for lunch, so you keep your $20 for your shopping. So the girls decided they were all going to order hamburgers and French fries and Coke, because they never get any of those things. They get rice and beans and vegetables, actually a much healthier diet, but that's what they wanted to order. So they all ordered hamburgers, French fries, and Coke. And we were sitting there, and this little boy, 5 years old, came up to us with a basket. And he was selling homemade candy that his sister had made, his, I think, teenage sister. No adult was anywhere in sight. This little lad was on his own, 5 years old, to come in and try to raise some money for the family. So the girls all reached into their $20 and they all bought some candy for him. And then one of the girls said, "Are you hungry?" He nodded his head. He said, "Okay, come on." And she pulled up another chair at our table, our big round table, and he came and sat with us. Then one of the girls took their hamburgers, cut it in half, and gave it to him. And then all the girls took some French fries off their plate and they put them on his plate. And then one of the girls ordered a Coke from the restaurant for him. And it was an incredible experience because these girls who had one outing to eat the special food that they wanted were willing to share their food with someone even less fortunate than they are. And that is, in a nutshell, why we believe so strongly and feel so strongly about this organization. Because if we can help educate kids and make kids' lives better and actually give them also some happiness and some memories, then we feel like we are doing a really good job. So in ending this, I just want to say to you, if you want to come with us, we are going to go again, presuming that COVID isn't too bad a thing, in November of 2022 for a week. And another way to show support is if you want to support one child, it's $40 a month. And that money will help to support the children at the village. So I'm happy to answer any more questions about Friends of Honduran Children, but I just want to end by saying thank you so much for everything that you have done and continue to do for us.
Thank you, Anne, for your words about the Friends of Honduran Children. It's interesting how these are two very interesting Peterborough-grown programs that we heard about today. And it's so interesting to hear information about things that I should know more about but didn't. I hope this has been a learning experience for everyone. Our next hymn is actually very reflective of this. It only takes a spark. It takes so little for something like this to become the wonderful institutions that the School for Young Moms and the Friends of Honduran Children have become. Please join us. It only takes a spark. Voices United, page 289.
Thank
Let us pray. Loving God, you are a refreshing, cool breeze on a hot day. You are warm sunshine after the rains. You are the plants just peeking up in the garden and fields. You are the fawn, the calf, or the lamb, innocently frolicking in pastures. You're a hug on a bad day. You are a surprise note in our mailbox. Loving God, you are our hope and joy, our refuge and relief, our grace and mercy. However, in our lives and all over the world, we are experiencing pain and loss, confusion and disappointment. We are desperate, fearful, embarrassed, and struggling. As we think of all we have to be thankful for and which we often take for granted, help us as we struggle to find a way to reconcile our lives with the unthinkable atrocities taking place in Ukraine and the daily challenges on the streets of our own community. Show us the answers. Grant us wisdom. Give us the hope. Help us to live full, faith-filled lives, reminded daily of your love and of the good around us, reminding others by our faithful living that you are our hope and joy, our refuge and relief, our grace and mercy. And we continue in prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
During normal times, this is when we would normally pass around the offering plate, but we would like to take a moment to dedicate the offerings that we are leaving on the plate or giving by par. The money that you give helps organizations like the Friends of Honduran Children, the School for Young Moms, helping in the Ukraine, places where it's needed. So thank you for the donation of your time, your money, and your talents to these organizations and to Trinity. Please join me in the prayer that's in the bulletin. Generous God, provider of life and all that sustains it, the simple act of sharing is an opportunity and gift when inspired by our love. May the donations we offer on the offering plate and by check, PAR, and Canada Helps, as well as the gifts of time and energy we give each day, be used in your enterprise of building a world more just and joyful, more healthy and whole. Amen. Please join in our closing hymn today, We Are Pilgrims, Voices United, page 595.
Amen.
Just a note, please remain in your places after the postlude to give us a couple of minutes to set up for the meeting. And the blessing of God, who made us in love, who made us for companionship, who made us to enhance and strengthen the world, go with us as we leave this place into all the places life calls us to be. We do not go alone. We go loved and blessed to be a blessing. Amen.